So welcome everybody and welcome to Conics 1. So in Conics 1 we are going to be studying two geometric shapes, the ellipse and the circle. Okay. Now where do these come out of? Well, for example, they can come from certain objects such as the cylinder and the cone. They're very good examples for looking at this. So if you were to cut a cylinder across horizontally, you would get a circle, and the same with a cone. Okay, and you should be, as I'm saying this, try and visualize that in your mind's eye. Now, where the ellipse can come from is if the cone was cut at an angle. Okay, and same with the cylinder, you would get an elliptical shape. So a circle comes from when it's cut horizontally, and an ellipse comes when it is cut at an angle. Okay, so we'll just have a look at a video I made on SolidWorks now to help you visualize this. Okay, so let's look at a 3D model of a cone and let's see how it can be cut. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this here, this cone, and I'm going to split it with this plane. Now we can almost think of that like a sheet of glass. Okay, and I'm going to cut this into two pieces. And when I do that, if I was to take away one of these or hide it, you could see that when you look down on top of that, that you will be looking at a perfect circular shape. Okay, now I'll just undo that, all of that for a moment, and I'm going to hide this one, and we're going to have a look now at how when a cone would be cut by a plane or similar to a sheet of glass at an angle, it will produce an ellipse. So I'll split this now again. Using this as my cutting tool, I'm going to cut this into two different parts. Okay, and now if I hide one of these, you will see that that will produce an elliptical shape when we look directly in at it. Okay, so it produces a perfect ellipse. And now, so we're going to have a look at a cylinder. So you can see that that plane is perfectly parallel to that cylinder. Okay, and if we were to split or cut that cylinder with that plane into two parts, we will get a perfect circle when we hide one of them. So I'll just hide that now, and we look down on top of it, and there is a perfect circle. So that's what happens when you cut a cylinder parallel to a space. Okay, so we'll just undo that, and I'll hide this guy now. And we'll just have a look again at when you cut one of these with an angled plane. So think like that, like a sheet of glass slicing through it. So I'll just split it. And we're going to cut that into two. And we'll hide one of these now. And you'll see that that will produce a perfect elliptical shape when we look straight in at it. Okay, so the cone and the cylinder, if they're cut horizontally with a plane, they will produce circles, but when they're cut at an angle, they produce these elliptical shapes. Okay, so now that you've seen those two videos, and you should be able now to appreciate more how these are created, these geometric shapes. So what we're going to have a look at now is the different parts of a circle. Now I've gone ahead and I've drawn out this because drawing a circle, as you can imagine, is quite simple. Okay, for this one, for example, I just set my compass to radius 50 and drew it, and I'd like you to replicate the sketching here and here, and to do out this and label it fully. So the radius, as we know, is from any point on the circumference, which is the outer edge, to the center. The diameter is from one side of a circle to another, passing through the center point. A quadrant is a quarter of a circle. A chord is just a line drawn anywhere that is not going through the center of the circle from one point on the circumference to another point. An arc is a portion of the circumference, okay, just a little portion, and it can be any size as well. A sector is a part of a circle, and you can make that to whatever size you want, replicate something similar. And of course then we have a semicircle, which I colored mostly in purple there. A segment would be a small portion of a circle. Now if you were to draw a chord, okay, the portion inside then would be that segment. So those are the different parts, and of course we can have these lines onto a circle which touches a circle at exactly one point only, and that is called a tangent, okay? And another line then is the normal, and the normal is always, as you can see there, at 90 degrees to the tangent, okay? Now, we're going to go ahead now, and when you've that done, we're going to draw the ellipse over here. So I have two lines drawn there, and those are two important points, okay? Or lines, sorry. And those are called, the big one is called the major. We'll write that in. And the small one is called the minor. So we have the major axis and the minor axis, okay? And if you want to go and draw an ellipse, we're going to have to do it with a freehand curve, but we're going to get certain points on it to help us. So it's like kind of joining the dots. When you're younger, you would have had some of them books, and we're going to find now some points on this elliptical curve, okay? So we're going to go now and we're going to draw two circles. One circle is going to be the radius of the major axis. And the other circle then is going to be half the minor axis. So this is the minor circle, this is the major circle. After that, we're going to get our 60-30 set square, and we're going to divide up these two circles. So we've that now divided into 12 equal portions. To say to you also, we already have 4 points on the ellipse, and those are at the ends of the major and minor axis, okay? And now we're going to get a few more points to help us to draw in the freehand ellipse. So I'll just get two colors. Where the dividing lines hit the major circle, we're going to drop down. And I'll just work on the top half of the ellipse for a moment. Okay. Where the dividing lines hit the minor circle, we are going to draw horizontal lines coming out. Now where those two lines cross, the purple and orange, those are more points on the ellipse. Okay, so I'm just going to put some heavy black dots on there so it's easier to see them. And now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you could divide up the circles more if you want to, but in general, we divide it up with our 30-degree angle and our 60-degree angles, okay? And that is one method of drawing the ellipse, and that's the one we'll be studying for the moment, okay? So I'm just going to get the points on the, stop talking and get the points on the bottom half now as well. And now we've more points on the bottom. So we can go now and start drawing in our freehand curve. Now a tip for you before you start drawing in that is I would recommend you do this on the right and left hand side. And the reason we do that is the ellipse has kind of like a flat nose, like the front of an airplane. It doesn't go to a point, and it's a common mistake you'd see people making when they start off drawing these, okay? Now, feel free, if your sheet is loose when you've this done, you can move around your sheet to help you to draw the object, okay? So Just start extending it out, and what you've got to hit those points and do it lightly first until you're happy with it. And when you're happy, then you can go over the outline heavier. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go over heavier now. And that is our ellipse finished, okay? So we've got our circle coming from horizontal cuts. We've got the elliptical shape coming from angled cuts. And that is Conics 1, folks. So we'll be going on and we'll be doing more of the ellipse now and the circles and different parts to them. You can have a tangent and a normal on an ellipse as well. And I'll cover how to draw that in the next video. So take care, folks. I'll talk to you soon. Stay safe.